Now we're going to talk about wiring. A couple of things to know about wiring. One of the basic fundamentals is that most people would believe that your current flows from positive to the negative terminal, but in reality it flows from negative to positive. A lot of people don't really realize is that the car's chassis, which most people will attach their ground points to, is usually only put to, it's got like a piece of 4 gauge, or in this case is a piece of 8 gauge. And this is all there is between the chassis and the battery, plus also the alternator. And so what happens is that in the current flow of the system, when you have it attached to your chassis, most people are like, well, my headlights are blinking, I need capacitors to fix that, or I need bigger batteries and stuff. Well, in reality, what you definitely need to do is upgrade your ground from the chassis to the battery structure. Now, there are 3 primary grounds that you really want to deal with. One of them is going to be the ground from the motor. Okay, you need a really good solid ground going from there, and you want to have a central point, somewhere on there. You could take a lug, like in this case. You could do some sort of a lug system here. You could also use the center post on your battery. This is a really nice, actually, battery post, I must admit, because it has a nice, good bolting area on here. So you could actually put several of them on here. Now, the truck itself already has these 3 primaries. You have a frame rail, you have the body, or the motor, motor ground, frame rail, and then your body chassis. Now, the irony is that this motor one right here is about 10 gauge. I don't know why that car manufacturers do this, but the alternator itself has to have some sort of ground to the battery, and to have this little dinky little piece of junk wire here is a joke. To sit there and go, well, hey, I'm going to put a 4 gauge here, but do only like something about a 10 gauge or an 8 gauge here, that's just silly. So make sure that whenever you're doing your upgrades on wiring, you want your 3 big ones, which is chassis, frame rail, and motor. Those are super critical. Now, up to 4 gauge, you could do odd, you could do larger if you wanted to, but just remember that the reason why your headlight actually blinks is because all the ground sourcing to the battery is coming through this one small cable. And since you have an enormous amount of current coming from, say your amplifiers, this little cable gets overwhelmed. And so once this no longer can flow the current correct, other parts in the system, such as your headlights, which is the most noticeable one, will start blinking because the amount of current being drawn from your amplifier exceeds any of the wiring that's in the car. So